this Conor McGregor fight in July is going to be bananas. It's going to be bananas. I mean, people are going to go crazy for the return of Conor McGregor.
But don't expect the same thing.
How could
you just can't.
He hasn't fought in 5 years. It literally will be 6 years.
Yeah. When you're taking a younger fighter and putting them against the old dog, it normally doesn't end well for the old dog.
Well, the thing is about Max Holloway is like Max Holloway isn't that much younger than Conor.
He's not.
But the thing is, Max has been in constant high-level competition the entire time. Won the BMF fight, beat Dustin, like constant high-level competition.
That's right.
It's a different thing.
And I honestly believe him at 155 is the best thing for him.
Absolutely.
But he's not 155 in this fight.
This is
170.
170. But honestly,
he might be
no
better.
No weight cutting at all.
Just no weight cut, just kind of walk around.
And also, knowing this is such a high-profile fight, Max is always in insane shape. But in particularly in this fight, he's going to be in insane shape.
And his last fight, he took almost no damage. He got taken down, controlled, back taken, and there was not a lot of damage.
No, just frustration.
Joe Rogan has been breaking down the growing excitement surrounding Conor McGregor's long-awaited rematch with Max Holloway. And the closer UFC 329 gets, the more fascinating this matchup becomes. While many fans immediately remember the first fight and assume history will simply repeat itself, Rogan has often explained that rematches years later are completely different because fighters evolve, improve, and develop entirely new styles. Max Holloway is no longer the young prospect McGregor defeated over a decade ago, while McGregor himself insists this is the most focused and dangerous version of his career, making this one of the hardest fights to predict.
What I am about to do after such an injury has never been seen before in the sport. It's unfortunate for Max. What's going to happen? I am taking everything with no mercy. I know I was going to come back. I learned a lesson in that lapse in concentration in the camp in preparation that I have since adjusted. And, that's why I think I'm only warming up here in this game. I really, really believe I'm only warming up. I used to always train a certain way, throw certain shots that the fight game has never even seen. Many shots I have in my arsenal, the fight game has never even seen.
July 11th, which incidentally is 3 days before Conor McGregor's 38th birthday, okay? Not an old man, but certainly not a spring chicken by any accounts, and certainly when it comes to professional fighting. Now, you could argue that he's had 5 years away from the sport, which is true. That's 5 years of not having the wear and tear. That's 5 years of not going through training camps. 5 years of not getting punched on the face, taken down, choked out, all that kind of stuff. The wear and tear, he hasn't been going through that. The man's made an absolute fortune in and outside of the cage, so he hasn't had to do that. He's been chasing business ventures and enjoying himself outside of the octagon. Fair play to him. That is the life that he's built.
The biggest question isn't whether both men are elite fighters. It's whether McGregor can return looking like the explosive superstar who once dominated 2 divisions, or whether Holloway's incredible experience, relentless pressure, and endless cardio will slowly take over as the fight progresses. That's exactly why so many fighters throughout the MMA world have split opinions on how this rematch could unfold. Joe Rogan has spoken many times about what makes Max Holloway so unique. His ability to absorb punishment, keep marching forward, and maintain a relentless pace for 5 rounds is something very few fighters have ever been able to deal with.
Well, we know that Conor hasn't been in the game for a long time, and I think a lot of people are thinking that he's just going to lose everything, but that's not the case. He's going to be dangerous. He's obviously going to still be very sharp, very explosive. Still got a good eye. Is it the exact eye that he had when he was double champ and doing what he was doing? No, probably not, but still going to be very dangerous. And I know Max is going to respect that. Obviously, they're going to want to put on a show, but at the same time, you're going to know Conor will be very dangerous early. I think Max will make the right decisions to not just get in the fire straight away, and then start to work him later in them rounds. We know that Conor, again, very dangerous, very explosive, but that is going to wear on you. And with that big layoff, even though he's probably training very hard, we know that that's going to eventually wear on him, and that sharpness that I reckon he still has is probably going to deteriorate a lot quicker because of his being out of the game for so long.
Even when opponents land clean shots, Holloway rarely changes his approach, constantly forcing exchanges until cracks eventually begin to appear. At the same time, Rogan has also praised Conor McGregor's timing more than almost any striker the UFC has ever seen. When McGregor is confident and able to dictate the range, he doesn't waste movement or throw combinations for the sake of it. He waits, reads reactions, and lands explosive counters that can completely change a fight within seconds.
He's got to be the top guy. at a weight class outside of his prime. He's got to come back from that leg injury, of which 3 other people have sustained. 3 other guys came back, and none of them look the same. Victory or defeat is a different conversation. They didn't look the same. And he's got to come back after 6 years out into a 5-round atmosphere. That one detail will sway the odds. That's good for 5 points. If everything was perfect and Conor had to come back after 6 years off into a 5-round atmosphere, that alone would make him a 5-1 under.
If he can establish that rhythm early against Holloway, many believe he'll create the type of openings that few fighters are capable of surviving. Other fighters have offered equally interesting opinions. Some believe Holloway's activity over the last several years gives him a huge advantage because he's consistently fought elite competition, while McGregor has spent long periods away from the octagon. Others argue that ring rust won't matter if McGregor returns healthy, motivated, and carrying the same confidence that made him one of the biggest stars in combat sports history. There are also those who believe McGregor's recent training footage tells its own story. Fans have watched him looking leaner, sharper, and more explosive than he has in years, while McGregor himself continues insisting he's developed new techniques that people haven't even seen yet. Whether that's genuine evolution or classic McGregor mind games remains to be seen, but it's certainly added another layer of intrigue to an already massive fight. Stylistically, this matchup is fascinating because both men naturally threaten each other's strengths.
Literally, when they started the division, they started him as champion. He didn't even win it. He came in because they absolved the WEC. So he was the entire featherweight division, had just dominated everyone, and he even created such a moment that like Aldo was like
he was the boogeyman.
Yeah, dude, he was incredible.
He's
one of the greatest
featherweights of all time.
But he got him to the point where he was like so furious that he was like, I'm gonna take this fucking guy's head off. And then Conor's just like relaxed. He's like he didn't care about any of the shit talking. He was just like, yeah, we're having fun. Let's play.
He lost his composure. Yeah, and he looked very overwhelmed by the moment. And by the way, everyone from Ireland came to Vegas for that fight. It was the nuttiest thing I've ever seen in my fucking life. The entire Mandalay Bay was overcome with...
Expected, Max, because I'm coming in fast. I tell you this, how are you doing after your 5-round fight with Oliveira? I thought some of the shots went for the back of the head. You had an opportunity to repay the favor you didn't take. I was disappointed in the result and the outcome of the bout and the shape the bout took. But how's the body? How are you feeling?
What it is, bro.
How's Hawaii?
I'm good.
I look forward to seeing you again in Las
great.
Vegas.
Hawaii's great, brother. Hawaii's great. I can't wait to see you in the ninth island, brother. How's Dublin? I heard you're sleeping in the gym, so that's great to hear, man. We're glad to have you back. I can't wait to get in there and mix it up, bro. We're gonna make some records.
Max, your fight with Conor was an early loss in your career, and I know you've been very vocal about wanting to get that victory back.
Oh, for sure. For sure. It's super fun, you know what I mean? But in Conor's words, I don't even think that's a loss. He said he only count finishes. And last time I checked, that was a decision. So we're on over into this fight. And
I like this.
Holloway wants volume, pressure, and long exchanges that slowly wear opponents down, while McGregor wants precision, patience, and clean counters that end the fight before his opponent can settle into a rhythm. Whoever succeeds in forcing that game plan will almost certainly control the contest. The stakes couldn't be much higher. A McGregor victory immediately throws him back into championship conversations and reminds the UFC why he's still the biggest draw in the sport. A Holloway victory, however, would completely rewrite the story of their rivalry, proving that the young fighter who lost the first encounter has evolved into the better man all these years later. That's why so many people believe this isn't simply another comeback fight. It's one of the biggest legacy fights the UFC has produced in years. Joe Rogan, fighters across the MMA world, and fans everywhere continue debating exactly how this rematch will unfold. But one thing almost everyone agrees on is that neither version of these athletes resembles the two men who first met inside the octagon. They're smarter, more experienced, and carrying far more on the line than they ever have before. When the cage door finally closes at UFC 329, We'll discover whether Conor McGregor still has one unforgettable championship run left in him, or whether Max Holloway finally gets the revenge he's waited years to achieve.